Am I the asshole for not going to my sister-in-law's wedding due to her dress code? I 25 female am having a conflict with my husband's sister 36 female. She is getting married in 2 weeks and her dress code is incredibly complicated to adhere to for me. It is black tie, long sleeves and floor-length gowns. The conflict happened because I am currently 34 weeks pregnant and overheat very quickly, and the wedding is entirely outside, in the middle of the day, in the southern USA where it is incredibly hot. I cannot be in a long-sleeve floor-length gown in the heat for 8 hours. I have sent her a few dresses to try to compromise, which I will link in the comments for further information, but she is completely adamant about exactly what she wants. I told her yesterday that I cannot attend her wedding if she is not going to budge even slightly on the dress code. I told her she has the right to have her wedding exactly how she wants it, for it to be her perfect day, but I have the right to look out for my own health. She freaked out at me and told me I was being incredibly selfish and that, for once, it isn't about me and my fucking baby. Which she only said because she's jealous I'm having the first grandchild and she felt like she should have had a baby before me and my husband. Since then my husband's side of the family has told me I'm being selfish and to just compromise one day to keep the peace. I don't think I should need to compromise my health for her wedding. Am I the asshole and being unreasonable? Edit. Here are a few examples of the dresses I offered to wear. Dress number 1. Dress number 2. Dress number 3. Edit number 2. Hello everyone from R. Amy the Angel. I cannot respond to comments on your crosspost, but you are taking my comments out of context. Also, I do not know who or from what subreddit are messaging me, but please keep your fucking disgusting anti-natalism out of my messages. Not the asshole. But maybe she will revise the dress code for her next wedding. Smile. Is she fucking insane? You are not the asshole. She is going to have a lot of fainting guests. Not the asshole. I'm only 12 weeks pregnant in Texas. If it requires me to wear more than the minimum to avoid arrest, I ain't doing it. I'd stay home where it's cool and comfortable and has my snacks. Seriously, I want an update to that to see how people dealt with her ridiculous demands on the day of the wedding. It sounds so impractical. Not the asshole, by the way. She can ask for a dress code, you can decline to go. Stay home and don't worry about it. Karma is on its way. Am I the asshole for not allowing my son back into my home? My F37 beloved husband passed away 27 months ago in a horrific accident, leaving me behind with our son, M17, and daughter, F10. Both kids have taken this quite hard, but our son especially, as his father passed trying to save our son from drowning. While my son's life was saved, my husband passed away, and the guilt is a massive hurdle. I arranged for him to go to a therapist as well as a grief group, but unfortunately he still seems to struggle. It is important to note that my husband was white, and our son was a product of his first marriage to a white woman who passed during childbirth. I, a black woman, started dating my husband 3 years after the tragic loss of his late wife, and we were married after another 2. Our son was 5 at the wedding, and I legally adopted him at the age of 10 when he could understand what it meant and have an opinion. My husband and I then had our daughter, who is obviously mixed. These racial distinctions have never come into play before, but are relevant to the story. I will also say that I have always had a strong bond with our son. He enthusiastically consented to the adoption. He calls me mom, and we visit his biological mother's grave every year on Mother's Day. Recently, as my son has been struggling, he has become increasingly difficult at home. Now I can understand and am lenient, but I think structure is helpful. One of those things is chores, which have always been enforced. One of my son's chores is to wash the dishes and pack them away, or load and unload the dishwasher depending on the quantity of dishes. Recently, that just hasn't been happening. I have given chances and chances, but there are never clean dishes in the house anymore. Finally, I sat my son down and told him that until he does his chore, I will be washing the dishes that I need to cook and for my daughter and I to eat, but he will be providing his own crockery and cutlery until he starts washing the dishes again. I don't care if this is a paper plate, but he is not to eat off my dishes until he contributes. Edit to add. He was welcome to eat family meals, just on his own plate. My son lost his mind. He was screaming at me that this was Slav, Rye, and I couldn't force him to do anything against his will. Then, the kicker, he said he would report me to the police, and given the racial tension, he would come out looking like the victim of an angry black woman. I was horrified. This wasn't the child I raised and loved. But I have to take what he says seriously when I have my daughter's safety to consider. So, I dropped him at his grandmother's, F68, home, biological mom's mom, and said he could only come home once he apologizes and agrees to do his chores. He has been there for 6 days now, and is begging me to come home, but there is still no mention of an apology or his chores. I am holding out on these two things, but his grandmother is saying I am being too harsh and he is just a boy going through a lot. I am really second-guessing myself, and wondering if I am the therapy for both of you first before he comes home. It seems that no matter what you do that isn't right, some loon has an excuse for you. Pregnancy hormones is one. He's too young or she's old is another. And now there's a boy going through a lot. However, no matter what you're going through, you can wash dishes. And the screaming and threats are intolerable. Not the asshole. If he comes back, there will be more of the same. Not the asshole, but give the boy a chance. Grief and guilt doesn't go away that easily. Get him into therapy. Not the asshole, your son is going through so much grief and is displacing it on you because you're setting firm boundaries. His threats are truly scary. He can make up stories and get CPS involved. Removing him from the home for a few days is justified to place space between you all. However, leaving him with grandma for extended period of time will affect your relationship and be seen as banishment. Perhaps, get a counselor involved. But maybe ask if he will do a different chore. Make a contract where he signs it staying he agrees with it. Also, he has to apologize because his racist remarks are very hurtful and uncalled for regardless if he is grieving. I wish you the best. Not the asshole. That's uncalled for behavior, and an apology with acknowledgement of the chores is very reasonable given the circumstances. And if not, well, he's likely almost 18 and can fend for himself until he apologizes. Am I the asshole for declining to be my brother's best man and not attending his wedding? My 43M brother David, 35M, is marrying his girlfriend, 34F, a lovely woman he has been with for years. My wife and I are very excited for them, and we enjoy spending time with them both. David and I have a good relationship. He is the only person in my family that I am close to. David and I both struggle in our relationships with our parents. My mother is emotionally toxic and has a long history of unaddressed trauma. Everything in the family is about her, all the time. Her feelings, her problems, she takes up all of the space in the room. Anything can cause a meltdown or a hurtful tirade. My dad also has a complicated history, which did not set him up to be an emotionally available parent, to say the least. The short version is that I have spent many years in trauma therapy to work through the impact of their behavior from my childhood. 5 years ago, I went no contact with my mother. She has not taken this well. I am low contact with my dad, who acknowledges that my mother is difficult to be around. David has had his own emotionally abusive experiences with our mother. However, he lives near our parents and maintains contact, choosing to gray rock in the face of drama. Once the wedding planning began, I became apprehensive about the idea of attending David's wedding, given my no contact with our parents and a vivid memory of our last family wedding, where my mother had a meltdown. After much discussion with David, I reluctantly decided that I should not attend. He was supportive of this decision. However, a few months later, David approached me to discuss being his best man. This threw me for a loop. I was incredibly honored and touched, but the prospect of being in the wedding party and spending 4 or 5 days with my parents made me feel physically ill. I spent several weeks agonizing over my initial decision to not attend his wedding and struggled with heart palpitations from the anxiety. I eventually decided again that the best thing for my physical and mental health is to not attend. I talked to David again and told him that I could not be his best man, and that I am still not coming to the wedding. I was honest with him about why. He said he understood, but he was very quiet and I couldn't tell if he had more he wanted to say about it. David tends to be quiet about his feelings, and I am worried that this is a bigger deal to him than he is letting on, especially since he asked me to be his best man after we had already talked about me not attending. The wedding is coming up soon, and the closer it gets, the more I question whether I am the asshole for not going. My relationship with David is important to me, and I don't want to cause a rift. At the same time, I know that trying to grey rock my mother will give me heart palpitations again. And I don't want to cause drama at David's wedding, when I know deep down that I won't tolerate my mother's emotional toxicity for the sake of the family peace. Am I the asshole? Info. Can you drop in for just a short time, a few hours? Only the ceremony itself, maybe not even the reception? You aren't required to socialize for 4 or 5 days just to stand up for him at his wedding. It's a possible compromise. It seems like it really matters to him to have your support for his marriage. Not the asshole. You have to take care of yourself. Not the asshole. I hate to say it, but your brother most likely accepted the initial backing out. He was probably pushed by your parents to force getting you to come, and your brother knew the only potential way would be you as best man. He may have wanted to tell you but couldn't bring himself to. Don't go, but celebrate with him and his new spouse after and buy a really good gift. Not the asshole. Our cultural best practice is to keep the peace for others and not for ourselves. It's totally valid that your brother is disappointed and hurt. You are also disappointed and hurt because if it were possible you would be there in a heartbeat. Maybe you can plan a trip to visit him and his new wife in the near future. Show him your love and support in a way that feels safe and good to you and him. It's not ideal, you want to go to the wedding, but this could be a very sweet gesture to show how important the relationship is to you. Disclosure: I've been and currently am where you are. So I am also giving myself permission as much as I'm giving you permission to do what's best for yourself. It's not an easy path. Nah. Am I the asshole for wanting to tell my GF's ex that she is terminally ill? Throwaway. My girlfriend, A, and I have been together for about 2 years. I love her and she is the most amazing girl, beautiful, funny, extremely smart, and pretty much anyone who meets her loves her instantly. Now the shitty part: she is terminally ill and things have taken a turn for the worse. Initially she got better, which was an unexpected miracle, but she's deteriorating again. It's worth noting that only A's closest friends, family and I know about this. While she's very active on social media, she has never posted about her illness and it would be impossible to know about it through her socials. My girlfriend and her ex, B, dated a few years ago and had a rocky relationship but were very close friends before dating. At the early stages of her illness, A told B about it but he didn't believe her and thought she was making the whole thing up. A was heartbroken. They had a messy breakup and have been no contact ever since. It was very hard on A, she couldn't believe that B would doubt her, and it really left a mark on her. Now, B thinks that A lied about her illness and has no idea that her health is deteriorating. I obviously know she wasn't lying as her family, and I have been by her side for all her treatments. The idea itself is so absurd, and A is such a kind person that it's an impossible thought. A and B's relationship was turbulent, so that might have contributed to this very messed up misunderstanding. As A's BF, it made me think about what it would be like to be B and find out that A died. I don't know if it's right to keep him in the dark and for him to find out she's gone and live with the guilt. I don't think it's about their relationship but just having been friends for years and a misunderstanding causing such pain. I've brought up B a few times to A, and asked her if she wants to reach out to him and tell him the reality. She always says no, there's no need because he didn't believe her when she told him. She's been indifferent about it and doesn't talk about him at all. But given the impact his distrust had on her, I know it still hurts her to think about it. I expected A to tell B at some point since it's been years but she's never said anything. I brought up the idea of telling B a couple days ago and A was pissed. She said that it's not her job to convince him, that she told him and he didn't believe her. She cried and asked why I kept asking her to contact B when he didn't trust her. I said that maybe he didn't know how to cope with the news or was shocked and responded poorly, which is not justified. Now she's upset with me. I just can't imagine anyone thinking of her the way B did, and then having to deal with the guilt of wronging her. It's not that I don't side with her, I think he messed up, but should he be punished with this kind of guilt forever? I don't want her to have any regrets. Am I the asshole for sort of looking out for my terminally ill GF's ex? You are the asshole. Just stop. Respect her wishes. I don't know what you're doing but it's not looking out for her. Why do you care more about her ex than her? You are the asshole. Her ex-boyfriend is not your problem. Get your head out of your ass and focus on her. She isn't comfortable with B knowing so you can't tell him. He was told, so it's not like it's a big secret. Focus on being her support and stop upsetting her by bringing it up. Let her die in peace. You are the asshole. He's an ex for a reason. He did a very shitty thing and your girlfriend wants nothing to do with him. Who cares whether or not he believes her? That doesn't matter now. What matters is being there for your girlfriend and dealing with the present situation. His guilt is neither of yours problem. You are the asshole. She made her choice, her ex made his. How is putting yourself in the middle going to help her?